So the cross-legged sitting like that, it's a very common posture as well in Sufism, Sufi practice. Let's go. They're here.
Let's go.
Got more
They're
people
here.
arriving. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Wow.
We've been
chilling. Richard.
I'm going to get up and say hi to everybody.
Watch
One
out.
sec.
Watch your stuff. Watch your stuff. Take your shoes off, Richard.
Yeah, we live? We're live.
We're live right now.
Theory of everything today.
Good to see you.
I told him to take his shoes off.
He does.
This is a good topic, honestly. Like, what's going on in planes is just downright critical.
What's going on?
Bro, and the planes are like from the 80s or the 90s.
How uncomfortable it is. Like, I swear it's gotten like 10 times.
Hold on, I need to turn off the music. Richard, get it.
Turn off the music.
The service has gotten worse. They didn't bring the fucking cart by with like water and the snack. I'm not kidding, till like 2 hours into the flight.
Oh, dude.
The time it takes
What's going on?
to get the service. And
Sup, Richard? Welcome.
yeah, it's
Is this thing on?
Die of thirst on the airplane.
They give you like a tiny bit.
They give you a tiny sip of water, then they don't.
We can hear them, kinda. Okay.
2.5 hours.
You know,
It's the Christmas dream.
I was due to my status with Delta Airlines, I was put in comfort class, which
Do you have high status?
I do, but it expires at the end of this year.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you gotta
so
enjoy the
this
comfort
is
while it
the last
lasts.
one, yeah. But when they upgrade you to the comfort class, it's
Mm-hmm.
not clear that there's a big difference. I think the seat leans back a little further, but that's just about it.
It's micro luxury. That's all
Yeah,
you
it's
get.
a
Yeah,
micro luxury.
you get a little bit.
Comfort plus.
Like where I was sitting, like I think.
Yeah, what do you get? Like, what do you get for that?
Well, the only thing I really noticed was that my seat seemed to go back further than it would normally.
It's not even comfortable.
In fact, I thought the seat felt narrower.
Like that's the compromise they give you. Like it moves further back, but we're decreasing the width. Like you can't. Dude,
I
that's so
was a window
stupid.
seat though, so I was fine.
Get it?
When we were growing up, everybody would be served a meal on the plane for free.
Yeah. There's no free meals now.
There's no free meals now.
Yeah.
You got to fly some sort of international airline.
Only international has free meals.
You got to go on Singapore Airlines or something.
And then you're 18 hours with the fattest person next to you. They're enjoying the free meal.
In China,
They're loving it.
domestic flights have free meals.
Okay.
Even like if it's like an hour-long flight.
That's based.
I'm
We're
liking
fine.
this setup here where it's just an iPhone camera. I think that's.
It works,
In
doesn't it?
fact, if you watch the latest Apple ads selling the newest iPhone, they have sections where they're showing off professional videographers filming movies with iPhones.
Yeah.
They've got like 50 iPhones.
That's cool, dude.
They're all wired together. Yeah. And they're using it to film a movie.
Mike, if you don't watch any TVs or movies, how do you spend your free time? Reading books, internet. Yeah, it's reading. It's definitely playing video games too. I'm a gamer. I play a lot of video games that way. But honestly, I'm worse with the internet stuff than ever before. Like the short form content has corrupted my mind, and I'm there scrolling like a zombie half the time, more than ever. It's really sad.
I was scrolling an
How about you?
unbelievable amount on the plane. I had the Wi-Fi. It was really good.
Was that part of your comfort package?
The Wi-Fi was the best I've ever had on
It was
a plane.
excellent, dude.
And
Yeah.
I was just scrolling
Yeah.
Instagram.
Did you feel alive while you were doing that?
I did actually.
Yeah,
Some
it's thrilling.
Some really funny videos. There was this one. It was this this black guy, and he was a fake UPS delivery man, and he would go to these people's houses and be like, "Sign for this package," and then he just chucked the package over their heads.
You were thoroughly entertained, bro. See, I respect that because if I watch videos like that, they may be funny on paper, but I feel like a husk, like enjoying it. I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, that's funny, but it's not like deeply funny. It doesn't actually resonate at a real
This one
level.
resonated.
It was resonating, bro. But if you're scrolling there and you're getting a profound human experience, you're feeling the humor from that video deeply in your soul. I'm jealous actually, because I don't feel that at all. It's like empty for me. It's like, wow, that's funny. Then I scroll immediately to the next thing. I lose it. It was gone. It was ephemeral. You still think about it. It's not ephemeral for
Yeah,
you.
there was another one by the same guy. It was he was catfishing studs. lesbian, like masculine lesbian women.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know the term.
It was a compilation of him catfishing about 15 of them, and they were all assaulting him and they were hitting him.
Yeah, we need an intro from the guests. We need some. Okay. What's
Girlfriend.
I'm a high school friend of Michael's. I'm visiting from the East Coast.
Yes.
I grew up in Los Angeles.
Yes.
I work in finance. I think everything's great. I mean, that's an oversimplification.
Everything's fine, and you think everything's totally good. Your definition of what's fine, it's already related to a different framework, of course. Can you understand why a lot of people don't think it's fine on any level, whether materially or a loss of meaning, an isolation, a loss of community? Do you think all those categories are meaningful in any way? Do you think they matter?
I mean, I feel like there's so much discussion of things like this, and there's a general negative attitude out there about these things, but to what extent is that actually people's experience versus just their outlook and the way they'll espouse and talk about things?
You imagine that the outlook and the way they espouse it is still part of the experience, though. Whether it's really grounded or justifiable, or it's connected to like this thing, this happened, so they must feel like this, or this is part of their real empirical experience or something. If there's even just a general sense that there's a feeling or a feel to there being some less satisfaction or a loss of meaning, or it's in the outlook and it assumes a negative character, that's ostensibly part of the experience. Something's making that experience.
Ostensibly.
Yeah, ostensibly indeed. But I'm saying, I guess that you didn't really answer the full question I was asking there. Like, do these other categories, the sense of meaning, the communal structure, are these valuable in the human experience? Or can you have a fulfilling, meaningful human experience without them? Just engage in work or
no, these
labor?
are absolutely valuable.
Okay. Do you think that they've diminished in any way?
I'm not sure.
Do you think people feel that they've diminished?
I think some people, maybe most people, might feel that they've been diminished.
So how is everything fine? If most people are feeling that way and it's totally good and everything's okay, if most people feel like it's not, and it's a real constitutive part of their experience that it's not, it's a difficult economy, there's less meaning, I have less friends, relationships are difficult, all of these, or nothing matters. There's no religion. There's no sense of meaning from something exterior. It's just pure hedonistic individualism. Why do people feel that way? And how is it fine?
I think it may be that actually, most likely, we're in such a good economic time right now that somehow that's fucking with people's heads.
In what sense? Like, it's too good?
Like they're spoiled almost.
Okay.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen a homeless person in the United States cry. I was in Ecuador. I was in Ecuador last summer, and I was about 40 minutes outside of the capital of Ecuador, Quito, and I'm driving with my cousins, and I see on the side of the road this guy. Maybe he was homeless, young Ecuadorian man. And he's got a backpack and he's sitting on the side of the road, just like in the middle of nowhere, just absolutely bawling his eyes out.
Right.
I mean, that is a tough.
It is.
Ecuador GDP per capita is like $3,000 or $4,000 a year.
It's really bad.
I mean, that is legitimately tough. I mean, that guy was really crying.
Right.
I've never seen anything like that here. You know, I don't think we have anything close to a truly tough scenario.
We can definitely agree we don't have the same level of material immiseration in the United States. But isn't that exactly the point that we're kind of trying to discuss, that it's not just the material here, or these other categories matter? And you're saying, like, you said yes, but then you reverted back to the material point, that the material conditions are better. And then you said, we're actually spoiled here. It's too good and everything. Yeah. Isn't that a problem? Doesn't that mean things aren't fine if we're too spoiled and we have so much material luxury that it comes at the expense of these other components of the human experience? Doesn't that mean that there is something wrong, or at least an imbalance here that should be addressed? Meaning not everything's fine?
Well, yeah, but I don't think it's the right approach to take something like that and try to make it into a bigger problem than it is.
But it seems like a pretty big problem. How many suicides do we have here in the United States? I don't actually know the numbers, and I don't expect you to know either. But I hear it's a pretty big problem. You might not see the homeless person crying, but we might not see people who are homeless because of real material poverty. They have other issues. They're addicts. They're something else, But we have people. Sorry, I can't say certain words. I forget. So thank you, Adam. You reminded me. I got to look at the comments too. I haven't looked at them. I took a peek. Yeah, I can't use certain word. People unalive themselves, or however you're supposed to self-censor in that way. Yeah. It seems like deaths of despair are a real problem in the United States too. So it seems like that means we do have at least an imbalance there. It's not pure, TikTok shop. Yeah, but it seems like there is some sort of mental problem here that relates to those deeper elements of the human condition. The homeless person isn't crying because they're poor. There's a lot of deaths of despair. Something's wrong. Something's not fine. And maybe it stems from a loss of meaning that comes from pure material luxury and the diminishment of these other elements of the human experience that might matter. We could talk more about that and make it more substantive. But I'm trying to understand when you say everything's fine, is it just because we have the money? But then you say the money leads to all these problems. Well, I don't get it.
These other things, I mean, I'll agree, these could be and likely are big problems. But materially and statistically, I mean, unemployment is pretty low. Mm-hmm. GDP per capita growing at a strong clip. Disposable income continues to grow at a strong clip. I mean, I have a Bloomberg terminal. So I've got access to all these data series.
Yes.
And on Thursday morning, just to refresh my memory, I was looking at a bunch of these different data series, and it only further confirmed that, the United States economy is nowhere near, frankly, most countries in the world where you've just got subpar levels of economic growth and,
right.
Frankly, truly challenged. Mm-hmm. Places.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll admit, like, there could be all these issues in other areas, but I think at least in these material economic areas, everything's great.
Okay.
I'm sure it could be way better, but we're certainly not in... I mean, you look at a country like Argentina, where their economy peaked in, 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. Or South Africa, where it peaked in 2012. Imagine living in a country where the best years were in 2012.
Yeah, it would suck.
It's, that is a...
But it sucks in a very specific way, right?
Yeah,
it's just economically.
Yeah, but it drives a lot of these things.
For sure. But so I take your claim to me when you say everything's fine. I'm not just thinking about the economy per se. It's everything is fine. There's nothing wrong in society. It's good. Or at least the economy is so good that it overrides these other societal concerns in whatever way they might manifest. Is that a fair, kind of assessment of your claim? Because you just went back to this whole economic description where it's we're doing economically well. But part of my point is that's not the full dimension of the human experience or how society. It's a serious component of what people factor into their own livelihood, to their meaning, but it's not even the full picture. And you seem to indicate that too much money can also be a problem, that we have so much wealth, we're almost spoiled, and it leads to all sorts of other issues. So what is the kind of claim here? Is it that the economy is good, so we shouldn't worry about these other things, or they're over-exaggerated? What do you say when everything's fine? Because I think you could have a great economy and other issues that kind of override that.
Well, I think if you turn on cable television, if you turn on a lot of the media, you look at a lot of coverage of different things, political figures from both sides talking about different issues. There's a lot of negativity out there.
Okay.
I mean, imagine being a young person consuming a lot of media day in, day out. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're hitting you from the left and the right that everything's going bad one way or another. There's billionaires out to get you.
Right.
Or whatever, right? There's something. So I think a lot of it also just has to do with the kind of media people are consuming, unfortunately.
Do you think those negative tendencies reflect anything real happening in the society, or is it just a media confection? It's just both sides, for some reason, they're trying to make things negative for some agenda.
I think so. I mean,
so it's arbitrary.
This stuff, these clicks, whatever what they could say, clicks sell.
Yeah.
There was some comedian. I watched this clip back in the '90s, and he said something like, you turn on cable TV and it's like all this crazy shit's going down, like there's bombs going off, but then you look out the window and everything's fine. Like,
Okay.
So,
Sure. Yeah. So
we can't have shoes on in here because we got some carpet, and they told me to take my shoes off.
it's an Asian household. We have to respect the rules here.
It's a dojo.
This is the dojo in here. It is a Japanese dojo. So would you say then it's fair to evaluate our current society and say everything might not be fine on the basis of these other categories, and we could define them, we can elaborate on them, but just saying because things are materially good, we're at least reasonable in identifying some serious issue here that would undermine the point, like, wow, it's fine because we have so much wealth.
But isn't Richard saying, like, we kind of know value when we see it, and our society is still producing a lot of value. There's still a lot of economic activity going on. Like,
sorry.
We're not like Cuba where, like, economic activity has slowed to such a horrible state where, like, people can't even stock up any of the shelves in the convenience stores. We have, like, enough activity where, like, our material conditions are completely satisfied. And maybe, like, the deficiencies that Michael is talking about, which are real, are because of something else, or maybe it's always a part of the human condition. Like, haven't things always been this bad and, like, always this meaningless in other times and societies? And maybe Richard is saying, it's always been like that, and, like, this time is no different.
I think that's. I think
It's a steel man case.
Point.
I like it. Let's go.
I think that's a great point, James. I think definitely people probably do have a much more negative outlook on things now than they did at any other point in the past.
Okay. But one of the points too, even if we assume that this type of negativity or this outlook or these conditions it's always been assessed this way, let's say. Regardless of the material condition, there's always this tendency towards negativity or to identify the worst problems in the society. McDouble right there. This betrays a fundamental point then. We can't assess whether everything's fine just on material conditions alone. If a change or a difference in the material conditions doesn't lead to a different evaluation in our real experience, then it's not the metric to assess in the first place for society. So when you say on the basis, which seemed to be fundamental to your point, we have the best material conditions and therefore all these other issues are irrelevant or they don't matter and it's fine. We could even say, circling back or adopting James's point, it's not even the material conditions that matter. We can be in peasant feudalism and have a negative outlook and certain dimensions of the human experience that aren't being factored in, or total material abundance and we still have the same negativity. So it shouldn't be the metric anyways.
Well, I think one problem with that is then it becomes circular because a lot of this negative outlook and I think negative attitude also stems from perceived negative views about the state of the economy and the state of our material well-being.
Right, that's the way it's framed, and that's the way it could be understood. But even then, let's just assume, for the sake of saying, I'll take the total relative view. Relative poverty exists, correct? And even in a rich, abundant society. There's people who are relatively poor in relation to the other their immediate neighbors, let's say, in the nation as a whole.
I mean, yes, but
there's wealth distinction.
It's a big attitude problem, also.
Sure, but put that aside. It's a real distinction, right? There's a real qualitative difference between possession of wealth within a particular economic zone. Let's make it very general. This distinction, especially as it's experienced by the people who participate in it, it'll necessarily lead to negativity, right? There's going to be an evaluation, a recognition of that distinction. You see the rich, you see the poor, and you see the relative conditions that are there, correct?
Not necessarily. I think that's more of a recent phenomena to have these sort of feelings about others, having more than
recent in what sense? Because we can talk about the history. I'd love to. I want to build to this point.
A time where we can agree that like a society was humming and things were going well.
I might need to hit the $20 Chinese vape that lasts for 10 months.
That's an example of
That's
our
guava.
material
Example of a
abundance.
material
Yes, here's the
abundance.
cattle moment. We got to have it. I'll hit it too. But listen, I'm still cattle, like I am. I didn't mean to insult you in any way. I'm cattle, but I think we have to fight against our inner cattle in that way. And it's not just material. We have to.
McDonald's.
Yeah. We have to fight against it. It's an eternal struggle in the soul. But I want to address this point. Do you mind repeating it, James, so I hit it fully?
Well, about the society.
Yes, like where we should agree, where there's some sort of...
I want us to look back at like where do we think that the society was humming along really well? Not just the material wealth. I want an example where the material wealth was there and also the meaning was there. You know, we can generally feel like this is a high point in civilization.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'll do that. So, in certain periods of ancient Rome, for sure. In almost any period in China, it was definitely going well, respectively, in pre-modern China. And these are
Wait,
very
what?
general assessments, but yeah,
Wait, pre-modern China was going well?
very well.
They had these things called eunuchs.
It's great.
Freaky stuff.
Eunuchs
I don't know.
are, eunuchs are based.
Freaky stuff. I wouldn't want to live in a country where my leader is just like with 400 advisors who don't have dicks.
I'm eunuch build. I think that's
Really
based. We need
disturbing.
more
It's really
eunuchs,
disturbing.
actually. But no, that doesn't matter. Do you think eunuch... Okay, we'll get granular. I don't even want to engage with that because we'll go off the mark. I'll say, like, there is some... We're talking about a confluence with the culture where things are going well and there's some sort of material prosperity relatively to the other, like, civilizations or societies in that sphere in the time, correct?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
material society.
Yes.
Yeah.
China is relatively more ideal than any other society that you'd see at the time for most of history. That's just true. There's a lot of Middle Eastern empires I'd identify to. The High Caliphate of the Abbasids. Like, this is another example, this real confluence of material wealth and cultural vivification, you could say. And of course, it's not going to be felt or identified or really experienced by everybody per se, but it's not right now either.
Yeah.
What are the examples for you?
Well-
And I don't need a full historical case, but where do you think there's a best?
You're not gonna like this.
Society. Yeah.
2025.
2025. It's right now.
Yeah, right now. Right
I thought
now.
you were gonna say like the 60s or something.
No, that'd be cringe. I
But
don't even
why?
think that was that good.
Why right now?
We're at the peak of material abundance. It's the best
But
ever been.
didn't we just agree? Didn't we just establish that it's not just about the material abundance? Or you reneging on that point and saying
Well,
no?
we also don't know really what things were like back then. I mean, you read about like what if like 30% of people just die at any given time from a disease?
Not necessarily.
Like,
It
in any
depends
given
on what you're...
time?
Like, no, not
You know?
at any given time. for
Also,
any
like, let's say
disease.
we're like
It just
reincarnated.
depends.
Let's say we have to be reincarnated back into these times in history. Like,
Sure.
what if you're in ancient Egypt and you're born and they're immediately just whipping you to move stones around for the pyramids?
Yeah, that would suck.
That would suck.
It would suck materially for sure. It
would
Wouldn't be
suck.
a slave, but we still do that around the world.
I know, but we
100%.
have like gas machines do it now, you know?
Sometimes, but not always.
Sometimes.
You just made this whole point about wealth differentiation, that we have it so good here. We're really the top of the pyramid and we can optimize this labor. Would you still say even in modern times, there's a lot of people living either in actual slavery or real slave-like conditions? And does this still represent the bulk of humanity? Fundamentally?
I think it's a lot less than it used to be.
Maybe, but it's a moving goalpost. Like the numbers themselves are already larger. We're dealing with billions as opposed to hundreds of millions. And like, I don't know the exact math, but we can like parse out the proportions and say, have things really fundamentally changed? Don't we represent the top, at least like higher echelons of wealth, like 1% at least for the globally, everybody in the United States? That's your point, right?
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
But then wouldn't
I'll
we
take
say,
a little more.
well, maybe
But that's
let's
not.
talk
But my
about-
whole point is, it doesn't even matter. This isn't the metric that.
I know.
And this is what Richard agreed to as well earlier. He said that we shouldn't. He agreed with the whole build up, every point I worked through. That it shouldn't be just evaluated on the material metrics. There's something more fundamental in the society and civilization. And now you just said 2025 is the best because the material abundance is there and it's totally present and it's good. Doesn't that contradict what you just followed up in my logic? We can go over it again. I'd be happy to. And we'll get you to the same point.
Well,
But isn't there a real issue here?
well, I also don't know if we can prove that any other time in the past was better. Per se. I mean, we can read books, we can look at it, but what was it really like? You know?
Why don't we discuss like what the ideal material conditions are? Like,
Right.
What the problems
I-
are with today. forget the meaning question. Put it aside
It's
for a
so
minute.
it's so good, James. This is exactly where I was going to go and start to say, because we keep reverting back to the material condition. This is your only metric to assess what's better, even though you said it's not really the best metric or not the only metric you should use, which is a contradiction. But regardless, so we'll go for the pure material conditions. What is the best material condition? Has it been achieved yet, or will it only be achieved in the future? Do you think we're on this inevitable linear path to economic progress?
I think we are on that path. I do think that at some point things really change for humans. Probably somewhere about $20,000 a year of net income. But that's a separate topic, I'll say.
Sure.
But I do think at some level, a lot of people in the world today are doing pretty well in the grand scheme of things.
When you see your paycheck, do you think you've achieved a greater qualitative happiness than every other human being who's ever lived in times where that paycheck was unachievable? Do you think your happiness is more developed, more full, more qualitative, more real than any happiness that could have been experienced in the past?
I think that gets experienced when you go to your local Buick dealership and you see the new Invista. That's only $26,000 and it's got really cheap financing options. Like I don't think you get
Bro.
I don't think you get happiness out of just seeing money in your account, but rather
It's the same thing. You're seeing the value. So when you see
value.
that Buick with great financing options,
And
you
you're
think
like, you
you've
know what?
achieved the greatest, most full human experience that somebody in any other time before the Buick existed or any real material value that you could convert that way. You think that your experience is more full. It is better and more happy than the birth of a child for anybody in any other civilization with less material abundance.
I mean,
You're happier.
with regards to the birth of a child. That's different.
That's not different. Under your own framework, it shouldn't be different. If that's the real metric of happiness, dude.
But like somebody 200 years ago couldn't buy a car.
Sure.
They could never experience that.
We don't want to
Are young
loop.
people's complaints about the modern U.S. economy valid or not?
Okay, we'll shift focus. I'll take point of argument. Things are worse materially than they ever were because that type of access to wealth is not really possible for a huge demographic. And let's just say the United States. It's less accessible and more hierarchical than ever.
I mean, I disagree with that. I think things are great materially, economically wise. I mean, but we could move off this topic to your area.
No. Let's do it. Let's do it. Seriously. I just don't want to circle the drain or anything like that.
Economy good.
What's birdhouses?
Is the modern economy good? I do want to address that because I don't think it is. I don't think it matters either. But we can go.
How good is the economy? Is there enough opportunity for young people?
But getting
It's a more
off,
material condition. We want to get there
but
for
getting
sure.
off the material conditions.
Okay, now you're trying to throw him you're putting it on the tee, dude. You're like, here's the material, like economic debate we can have, and he's like, let's get off the material conditions for the first time, in the whole discussion.
Let's move off. Let's
Wait.
move off the material conditions.
I hate to interrupt the.
That's what you want to talk about.
I do want to talk about that.
But he's saying that
It doesn't matter.
he's saying that it doesn't matter, and it's like, okay, well then let's talk about the other things.
But I'll say it doesn't matter in this particular way. It doesn't matter as the full assessment of how society functions or whether things are really good. But where I would say it matters, and it relates to one of my fundamental points, whether it's happening or not, people experiencing it or feeling that it does is relevant to their experience and therefore their worldview and how they approach the society as a whole. So when a large body of people, left or right, however it is across the society, do feel that the economic conditions are bad, and it is relevant to their immediate experience, that is something that can matter. And especially as the conditions of society go, things are more narrowly focused on the material. I don't think it's the best way to assess the society as a whole, and I think it leads structurally to other downstream problems, but there is a material impact for sure. And even if it's relative and it's related to the highest echelons where you can't buy a house, but it produces a relative sadness, as I did before, that's a real thing we have to factor in the experience and not something that we could just compare to the third world and dismiss. Because yeah, there's some homeless guy crying in Quito, but who cares? There is a real condition that we're living here, and it's relative to everything else. That's immediate in our experience.
But if we're moving Gen Z, having a family, you can have a family in Austin, Texas, and San Antonio.
This is what we need to talk
Okay, let's talk about it. I don't want to interrupt the flow. Please, if you guys are patient for 30 seconds, I got to pee so bad because it goes right through me.
Richard, you need to talk about how people love to complain about affordability, but they don't want to buy a home in Austin, Texas.
Go to the Lennar website and look at the for sale listings in the Austin, Texas, and San Antonio area. They're like $250,000, $300,000, 2,000 plus square foot houses. There's no state income tax there. Obviously, not everybody can just pack up and live there, but it's a lot better than like if you lived in New Zealand and everything's just expensive.
What about
And
just
you're just
living
fucked.
in the metropolitan city?
Austin and San Antonio are a major metropolitan area. Dallas, Houston, Indianapolis, Kansas City. Chicago is very affordable now.
Aren't young people just lazy and don't want to work?
I don't think so. I think young people are working. I think that young people are not that lazy. And
Why
I think
is the youth unemployment rate so high?
the youth unemployment rate is historically very low right now compared to where it has been in the past.
I don't think that's true.
I've got the chart. I'm just saying that there are issues, but compared to any like in the past 50 years, for example, if you looked at these statistics, it's just about as low as it gets
That's complete bullshit.
over the past 50 years.
Young people, there's definitely less opportunity for young people
You think so?
now.
Because that's what I would say too.
Yes. Could you pour it?
Definitely.
You want me to pour
I'll
that
pour it.
for
I'll
you?
pour it. I'll pour it.
I just
You want me to pour that for you, Richard?
Sorry, I won't
yes,
say.
I'm mic'd up.
Capitalism definitely is breaking down in the sense of like it is harder to create things. Like it's harder to start from nothing. It's definitely harder to start from nothing.
It's never been easier to start from nothing.
Just a little bit.
See,
That's my new take.
See, that's what Michael needs to debate you on. It's like,
I will.
But we
like,
wanted to move on.
It's not. No,
No, we don't.
No, we don't
gotta
want to
do it.
move on. No, we haven't even talked.
Bro, I'm trying. Dude, I'm trying to go to your level. Like, I was trying to move off the entire time. And you're like, when I'm like, okay, let's just talk about it economically. Like, let's move off, dude. We moved off already. You contradicted yourself 3 times on it, dude.
Goddamn.
Let's talk about this. Let's granular. Let's go into the economy. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Underemployment is the stat that matters.
Look up-
Software engineers working.
Yes.
Look up, go on Fred and look up U6 unemployment. That's the larger underemployment figure.
Red?
Dude, you have to look at how those stats are calculated.
Yeah, like, this is what I'm saying.
That's
How
not
we
happening
assess.
to any young people.
Well, then there is a youth unemployment figure. It's like 16 to 24. This is all on Fred.
I want to, dude. I want to be clear on the claim
None
because
of
I
us
just,
are captured in that data.
I just came back from the bathroom. What is the fundamental claim you want to defend here about the economy,
never
or
been
like
easier
it's never been
to
easier?
build wealth.
Okay,
never
never
been easier.
Never a single time in history has it been
Never
easier.
a single time in history.
That's completely false on its face.
Never a single time in history. Chat GPT.
Bro.
I'm dead serious.
Okay, I'm caught up. That's the claim. It's never been easier to build wealth.
Never.
The dollar's value has never been more worthless and more inflated.
I was gonna
more
say,
inflated.
like, we were talking before you guys got here. I got asked a few questions by some people. I don't know if they're still in the audience, but they're asking about monetary policy or anything. And I said straight up, I don't know a lot about it. Definitely not an expert. But would you say, like, if we're going to even assess whether it's possible to build wealth or not, we have to look at what measures wealth in the first place and its actual value? Wouldn't the value of the dollar, as it's inflating and becoming less valuable per dollar, wouldn't that matter in this sort of evaluation?
Well, we don't count wealth in terms of what the currency does at the end of the day.
So what is it? What is it then?
How much your currency can purchase is a huge factor.
Yeah, it's, by the way, something you said, by the way, earlier. You said it's not about the wealth, but whether you can actually get the Buick with good finance options and not your paycheck. Yeah.
The health of the currency. The health of the we have a great currency in the United States, and people don't just sit around with dollars stuffed in their mattress, which would then lose value over time. You know, people invest money, people own bonds, people get paid interest.
Okay, I just, you might be better than me on this, some of the economic stuff. I freely admit it. But when you invest something for a certain dollar amount and it accrues value over time, but the actual currency is becoming devalued over time, wouldn't the initial investment be less valuable?
Well, let's say your investment...
Isn't there still diminishment at the end of the day, by the way?
Well, let's say your investment over a 10-year period increases 6% a year.
Okay.
But let's say inflation over that 10-year period is, let's say it's high. Let's say it's 3%.
You still build some wealth.
You've built wealth. Whereas if you had the money in your mattress for 10 years...
But there's a diminishment in value overall, even in what's being invested. It could have been much higher, but it's at least inflated. The dollar's gotten less valuable, right?
Right. But
what happens if you can't buy? Okay, no, but this is my point. Before I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to make this point. What happens if you can't really buy into the system in the first place? That getting those initial investments from the early point where the dollar had value and maybe it outpaced inflation. But what happens if you're already dealing with the inflated currency that doesn't have a lot of inherent value, and you're trying to invest basically in something or another? Most people made their wealth from real estate, for instance. Most boomers did. They bought in property. It accrued in value, they sold it, and that's most of what they live off of. What happens if you can't do that in the first place?
Well, two things on that. I mean, you look at the entire 1970s, you had out of control, over the top inflation.
Yeah, for sure.
And, people like Warren Buffett were still able to create gargantuan levels of wealth.
How much initial investment was he capable of leveraging to create that wealth?
About $10 million.
Yeah, was he working a part-time job at McDonald's or could only work entry-level jobs? He couldn't get a professional career. He had $10 million in that timemes currency to invest.
But
that's a big difference, right?
But that to about $400 billion, especially in a time like the 70s where you had 16% inflation.
It's impressive, but that doesn't diminish the point. That's Warren Buffett. There's a reason we could even single him out by name. It's a rare type in the first place. Do you think everybody achieved Warren Buffett level wealth? Ostensibly, anybody who had $10 million could have achieved the same level of wealth growth, theoretically at least, right?
My point is that we had worse inflation at other periods in the past, especially in the 70s.
But it's not just an inflation thing. It's literally like, okay, we have diminishing currency, we have employment issues. You can't get the same entry-level jobs. You can't buy into the housing market and accrue the same value that a lot of people did. Most people weren't Warren Buffett, but I know a lot of people who boomers or Gen X types who were able to buy into the property market very early and just leverage that equity over time. Keep selling, buying more expensive. It keeps growing. They sell it. And now, and this is a lot of the anxiety Gen Z people have, you can't even buy into the system initially. You're discriminated against for entry-level jobs. The value of a college degree has gone down with increasing debt. There's a lot of economic anxiety, right? Or is it just easier to build wealth than ever?
There are challenges, but it's still never been better.
But these challenges, are they significant challenges or just meaningless challenges?
They're challenges that Americans can overcome, frankly.
Okay, that means nothing, dude. Let's be honest. What do you mean Americans can overcome it? How? How do you recommend Gen Z people move to San Antonio?
Yes, move to Austin, Texas, move to Dallas.
This is the double-edged sword of the economic retardation we see nowadays. It's like, oh, wealth is all out there, but you got to move to the middle of bumfuck nowhere in order to achieve it, where there's actually no wealth and maybe it's growing from scratch. I saw some boomer on Twitter. He was posting a house in bumfuck Iowa, dude, middle of nowhere. He's like, look at these Gen Z. Right? Yeah, it was a meth lab. And he's like, oh yeah, dude, just get some wealth. You got to live in this meth lab in rural Iowa, and it's more attainable than ever. Do you see that as a problem? There's more wealth, but you can't access it, and you got to go off the grid, basically, in a former meth lab in order to achieve it.
No. What I'm not suggesting.
Sorry, I can't say retarded. Thank you. I saw the all caps. I can't say. My bad.
I'm not suggesting.
You guys got to type in all caps for me to see it, because I don't have my glasses on. I can't read the TV from here. So.
I would actually suggest that no young people go and buy that meth lab house in Iowa.
Right.
But that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is they go get the Lennar new build and the Buick Envista and live in the Austin, San Antonio metropolitan area.
So you should live in your car. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying buy a brand new construction, 2,000 square foot house with the 4% mortgage offered by Lennar.
So thank you. Thank you, user withdrawn. I see it in all the caps. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I forget that I can't say certain things.
I'm just
But
saying.
yes.
I'm just saying. Like,
But
you don't have to move to the middle of nowhere in Iowa. You just have to move to another metropolitan area.
Do you think that this is a real difference between the people from the past? Let's say it's boomers. Let's say it's even older. It's people in the roaring 20s who moved to the biggest bustling cities to achieve all the wealth. And now the young people can't buy into those big bustling cities and they have to go in the middle of San Antonio or Iowa. Would we recognize that this is at least a real difference in how wealth is acquired, right?
Well, so I was once looking at this Bloomberg News article, and it was saying the richest. It had some information on what the richest cities and metropolitan areas in the United States were in like 1949, and it was the top 10 richest cities in America.
Yeah.
Most like income per capita, etc. It was like Dayton, Ohio, and Cleveland.
Right, industrial
and Columbus.
centers. Yes.
Industrial centers.
We don't have industry anymore, which is, would you admit, it's a big problem? Is it different for wealth creation? I know a lot of boomers who made a lot of they became middle class wealthy. It's a big problem.
Hold on.
It's a real relevant point.
But hold on.
Society, like the guys who are moving to San Antonio, what's he gonna do? Though?
Right, yeah.
He's gonna work in the service economy at the mall, like making $40,000 a year.
Exactly.
Like, and with his useless college degree that he's in debt for. Like, how is he supposed to build up real wealth?
Will he ever buy property is kind of the point I was building to, like real serious property that's going to accrue in value at the same rate that the boomers did, for instance, in the suburbs, in the main cities. And by the way, can you get a middle class living off of industrial work in the United States right now and working in a meat packing factory, for instance? Do you get the same level of wealth? Or was Dayton, Ohio only wealthy because it had that industry in the first place? And now you're working in the bullshit service economy that doesn't matter and you're getting minimum wage and you can't really buy in.
I think this is the kind of negative outlook that's poisoning young people's brains.
Do you think, okay, bro, we'll say it's negative. Do you think it's grounded in any reality whatsoever? Do you think there's any changing economic conditions at all? Or no, it's just purely negative arbitrarily?
Well, here, this is the changing economic condition is at the end of the 40s, places like Dayton were the richest areas. What do you think it is now? Like L.A., etc. Washington, D.C.
It
is.
Surrounding Washington, D.C. are the wealthiest.
It is.
It's these things are always changing.
Yes, they're changing, but there's a change, right? There's a change in economic condition. Do you think these conditions change, but it has no effect on the people and the economy? Do you think the barriers to entry change when the economic conditions change in the same way you just described? Do you think it was easier for a young person to work in a meatpacking factory in Dayton, Ohio and make a middle-class living than it is for a young person now with changing economic conditions by your own metric, by your own admission here, to buy into this system and own property and have that same middle-class life that the person before did? Do you think it's changed or not?
I think it's materially better. I mean,
for who? For that young person? Take my example, please. That young person. Do you think it's materially better for them when they have to live in a car in San Antonio and go and work in the service industry?
In the Lennar new build.
How many Gen Z afford that too? Yeah, how much does it cost?
$250,000.
How the fuck are they supposed to?
How are they supposed to get it? Yeah, thank you. I can't. I don't know, but we can say on stream.
That's an FHA mortgage.
How much?
What do you need to get into that? How much is the down payment?
3%.
Well, that's the interest, right? What's the down payment?
That's the down payment.
Okay, it's 3% on that.
3.5%.
Okay, what's that? How many people in
$1,000.
How many Gen Z people coming into college with debt have $7,000 fully to put down?
Fuck.
Not as many as you'd like, right?
I think most people have $7,000.
What happens? This is the basic economics question. What happens
Also,
when these people... No, listen. What happens when these young people are all buying the Lennar construction facilities in San Antonio, Texas? There's a limited supply, right? There's high demand, limited supply. What happens to the price of those? It goes up, right? Am I wrong? I'm not an economics expert, but please tell me I'm wrong about that calculation. What if you recommend this to everybody and all of Gen Z right now try to do it? How would that change the economic condition? It'd be the next fucking issue. You couldn't buy in. There's scarcity. It's the most fundamental economic problem. Am I wrong?
I think Richard makes a good point. You can buy that house that is pretty cheap. I think the question is like, people loved America because it was considered if you want to work hard, that's the only barrier and you can get ahead. Like that's the idea of American economic opportunity. Like if you're willing to work hard, there's kind of nothing that can stop you. Is that still true today?
That's a more fundamental question. It's kind of what we're trying to say here. Like even the basic Gen Z's been in Lennar construction. He's working the mall for $40K a year, like you said earlier, James.
Yeah.
That's a different qualitative instantiation of the American dream, so-called, than what existed before, compared to the person who could work in Dayton, Ohio in the meatpacking factory when there was industry and make a middle-class living and have a family and own the property and accrue value on that property and keep attaining that material wealth. It's not better. There's barrier. I'll ask this before you go. Are there barriers to entry now that didn't exist before? It's out, dude. I drank it. Unless you want to have some too.
I think there's geographical barriers to entry. I think certain areas are incredibly expensive. LA, for example. I do think the 50-year mortgage is a terrible idea, but But hear me out on this. And I don't know if this was the case back in the day, but a few years ago, I was in College Station, Texas.
Yeah.
I was at the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library.
Excellent.
And there was a section where it was talking about how H.W. and his wife got their start. This was like, I don't know, the late 40s or 50s or something. It's a long time ago. And it was talking about how H.W. and his wife moved out to like Lubbock, Texas, or like somewhere way out in West Texas, where they were working on these oil fields and stuff. And, H.W. and them, they come from, really wealthy, old money, Northeastern folk.
Yes.
And they were talking about how the best house they could buy way out there in West Texas was this, like, shoddy construction, like, shotgun-style house.
For sure.
Where it only had, like, one bathroom. Okay. And it was like the whole family had to share this bathroom. So it's like, okay, like, you hear people, like, someone says, okay, like maybe some meatpacking worker could afford to buy a house, but like, what was the house like? Like, was it just like, was there only one bathroom?
Would you say at least he had a fucking house, right? Is that a big difference than a lot of Gen Z people who can't even get a fucking house in the first place? I don't mean to cuss a bunch, but it's just like we're admitting a real difference here, right? I'd rather have a house with one bathroom than no house at all.
I don't know. I mean,
is that?
Some apartment.
But does that just undermine your point that like,
George H.W. Bush was able to use that to become a rich.
He made money
man.
on it. Is my next point. It accrues value.
And not just that, but like George W. Bush worked hard, and the opportunities that were available to him in the oil industry made him a wealthy man. Like, are those opportunities still around today? Like, George Bush worked his ass off and got there.
And it's the fundamental question you were alluding to earlier. Does hard work necessarily translate into these same opportunities or economic, profit in some way? Like, does it actually translate? Do we think the economy as it exists now rewards opportunity?
100%. I mean,
rewards hard work. Like
things must have been really tough back then. I mean, imagine you were starting a business and you wanted to get a list of potential leads, people to list out to sell your product to, et cetera. You must have had to go to multiple subscription services to pay for those leads, and probably cost a lot of money to figure out who was who and addresses and where to reach them. And now you just go on LinkedIn.com and just do a mass DM, basically.
Mass DM.
It's just
I'll start to say.
That's a real point. Like, is technology actually made it easier to start a business?
I think so.
It's made it easier to start a business in a certain sense, but the rewards from that business are less meaningful. Like, you don't get the same capital out of starting that business in the first place. And it's more competitive because technology is mass accessible. It's not just the driven people who are going to go look through the like magazine leads or whatever. It's anybody with an internet connection. They can find it. There's alternative means, but it doesn't produce the same level of wealth that it did in the past. Somebody who was just as driven or willing to pursue more obscure leads in the past, whether it's sifting through the magazines or leveraging some weird financial technique and investment, it's going to deliver more returns. And it's going to be in an economic context that relatively rewards those returns. So you can buy into the property. You can do this. Now, if you're going to live in a major city, which is where most of the economic activity occurs, you need to do you need to achieve something that delivers a lot of capital, far more proportionally than it did in the past. And even just buy into that system in the first place. It's why it's something I was going to mention earlier. The buy into San Antonio, it's the double-edged sword. You go where there's the least economic activity to try and buy into the most economic activity. It's a contradiction. You're like in the hope that this will develop into something else, but it never really does. And you have to go pursue that on the outskirts, on the fringes, where in the past you got to go to the hub, the center of economic activity. And that is indicative of something being wrong structurally. It shouldn't work like that. You think with most economic activity occurring in the cities, that's where you could go and have the most opportunity. But the whole point is, no, you can go on the internet. You got to live in the fucking, sorry, I don't know if I can cuss or not, but you got to go live in the fucking backwoods and get on the internet and try and do some little scam or something. And you can maybe buy into some limited property. The whole point, we're circling the drain again. There's real differences in this economic structure, right? I think I won't even just make it general. We could say if you have to go into the outskirts to seek wealth, that's at least something really different than going to the center of the city to seek wealth. That shows that there's something different operationally in the economic system, right? Can you admit that?
Well, I think it's just way cheaper to do business activity than it was in the past. You know, when I was 16.
Answer my question, please.
Is it? The services
Do you think, can you say, before you go on and talk about your business when you're 16, can you say there's a real difference that you have to go to the outskirts to seek wealth as opposed to being in the city to seek wealth?
I don't know what that means.
There's a difference, right?
What do you mean by that, though? Like,
where does wealth come from, right? It comes from a particular locality. It's a concentration of capital. It's business. Where does business occur, right? There's going to be certain areas where business is more concentrated than others. Can we agree to that point?
yeah.
Okay. So there's certain areas that are qualitatively different as far as business considerations are concerned than others, right? And one would say when business aggregates or urban capital, it ends up being a city, correct? That's kind of what a city it is. It's not engaged in agriculture. It's not producing the food, but it's where a higher level finance occurs, right? So the center of the economic condition is in cities where most business is occurring, correct?
Not necessarily. Not anymore.
Isn't that indicative of something unhealthy about
That would be indicative, but it still is, by the way. Like the highest, if you mentioned GDP earlier, like how GDP per capita is greater for the average citizen, that's all in cities, dude. It's all in it's in the states with the biggest cities here.
Well,
do you think Bakersfield is just as economically productive as Los Angeles? You say not necessarily anymore, but this is still a real indicator, right?
Bakersfield is undoubtedly more economically productive than the United Kingdom.
That's not my point. That's not my question. Is it more economically productive than Los Angeles?
No, it's not.
Okay, so the city rural distinction matters, right?
But
there's
it's not
something
like
going
it falls
on.
off a cliff. It's still pretty good.
Okay, it's pretty good, but relative. It's the whole point about relative economic conditions we mentioned earlier. Of course it's going to be relative. It's better than being in the middle of the Congo right now where you're a slave in a diamond mine. I don't know, but it's still relative, right? We're assessing our economic conditions now for people living in the country now, not compared to the rest of the world, but the country and the people experiencing it. So we'd say, and you admitted everything else, that there is a real economic concentration in the city, and it's still relatively better than Bakersfield. So when you tell people to go to Bakersfield or some other comparable rural area, that shows that there's something structurally bad about the system economically that's at least different than how it used to be, where capital's accumulated in the cities and concentrated in these areas, and that's where you would acquire wealth. That's why people moved to the fucking cities in the first place. They left their subsistence farms because that's where wealth was. And now the advice is leave the city where all the capital is and go buy a meth lab and live in that. And
I'm not saying that. Bakersfield is a city, after all. Bakersfield is a city.
We know what you mean. We know what we mean by this.
These places are cities.
God damn. We're going to have to go down. I need a sip, bro. Give me a sip right quick, dude. I need a sip for this. Good Lord. Do you think Bakersfield's a city in the same way Los Angeles is, or do we really mean something else?
No, it's a city. That's a real city. Look up, Austin, how many people live in Bakersfield,
Is California? It the same thing as Los Angeles? We can use whatever terminology you prefer.
Let's look up.
But can we say it's different than Los Angeles?
Bakersfield population Yes,
not
it's
about
fucking
the
different. From
yeah,
the
that's
second
my whole
largest city in the
fucking
United
point, dude.
States.
That's my whole fucking point.
Stop
It's
cussing.
different.
We need to stop cussing.
Are the economic? No, it's my mom telling us. Big Lisa's my mom, by the way. Everybody in the audience, she's my most loyal fan. W mom, W Big Lise.
You can curse.
I can curse.
Say any,
I
like,
can't say
funny
yes.
stuff.
Yes, I understand.
Isn't there a problem just like when we look at like the economy, the wealth inequality growing, where you have like this insane amount of wealth at the top and like the destruction of like a solid middle class and then way more people at the bottom of the economy than there were. Like, isn't that a sign of unhealthy? Isn't that an unhealthy sign?
I think concerns about wealth inequality are spiritually Marxist.
Oh, come on, dude. All right, let's address that. And I want to address what James said, too. By the way,
that's not what like early Americans
Early Americans
thought.
Okay,
they
were wrong.
thought, like, no, that's not what they thought. That's not what Alexis de Tocqueville thought.
listen.
They thought that like because the economic wealth of the society was like more concentrated and like the early like landowners all had like a decent amount of wealth and the gap wasn't that high, that it actually created a very healthy society where like people are participating in a republic, a democracy could work.
So
like
right,
it wasn't like there wasn't like
so right.
a few people at the top like where there was in like these aristocratic European societies where like a few people in Paris are like so wealthy and then you have all these peasants that are poor. Like America was seen as like a shining example of some new great economic powerhouse.
Exactly.
There was like a much larger middle class, people that were decently wealthy.
Yes.
Isn't that healthy?
Before, by the way, I want to address this point, but Adam just like literally said population doesn't matter, dude. San Jose has more people than fucking San Francisco, and that's such a good point. It's actually a destruction of your whole argument when you're going to the population. But you should address James's point here about the nature of American society, that it should have this opportunity, this upward mobility that didn't exist in the European societies. So when you say people complaining about being poor is just spiritually Marxist, it's not Marxism. It's actually integral to the American experience. You should have this upward mobility, this real economic opportunity that may not exist right now, or it's at least radically changed in a way that you kind of dodged, by the way, by saying Bakersfield's a city like Los Angeles.
Bakersfield's a city. It's a real city.
It's different than Los Angeles. Let's not loop on that, but I want to hear the point. What's your response? Do you think America should have upward mobility, or should poor people just sit in their lane and if they complain, it's Marxism?
I think Americans have some of the best upward mobility in the world right now.
Well, we're not comparing it to the world. We're talking about America right now. Do you think okay, let's change the claim. Do you think America has the same upward mobility, or upward mobility has been unchanged in American history, and right now it's just as real and just as possible as it always was in the original American experience? Do you think it's changed in any way?
I think in the original American experience, it was a whole lot tougher. It was a lot more brutal. And
In what way?
it wasn't always a good time.
Okay, yeah.
But they made it work, and
made it work.
we've reached the material conditions we have today. Spiritually LinkedIn.
Spiritually LinkedIn. That might be the best description I've ever heard. Spiritually LinkedIn is so good. That's why we love them, though. Like, we need this spiritually LinkedIn counterpoint to our shit. It's honestly a very valuable perspective.
I'm not even a LinkedIn guy. I don't post on LinkedIn. I don't like.
Dude, I need the
do
dragon
LinkedIn.
vape. Somebody asked if mom was smoking the dragon vape earlier, and it's not. She hates that I vape or do it at all. But I'm gonna do it.
Chinese.
I have no idea. It's just maybe it's the quantity of the smoke coming out. I don't know. But please.
You know, a lot of wealth inequality back, 300 years ago, too. It wasn't just people were wealthy. It was like there were these royal families which just like took all the money, literally.
I know, but in American society, we didn't have that. And wasn't that a great thing that we didn't have that?
I think
And
it's great, yeah.
Isn't that part of the idea?
You haven't addressed, you haven't recognized the fundamental point. Hasn't that changed?
Isn't that part of American exceptionalism that we didn't have that? We were a land of economic opportunity. And haven't we kind of lost that a little bit?
I don't think we lost that.
Okay. Okay. So
Wait,
so
but just in
explain-
principle,
expand on that.
I want to expand on it, but like if poor people complain in the United States that they're poor, it's not really spiritually Marxist then. It does align with the American principles. You just admitted it, that you should have this upward mobility, that poverty is not necessarily something that's a permanent condition or established by birth. Like you should be able to move beyond. And the economic conditions should allow it, right? That's American. It's not just Marxism.
Well, okay. How about this? How many people lived in the LA area, which we're currently in, 125 years ago, 1900? It must have been.
A couple 100,000.
It must have been
Yeah, it's like
must have been less than that. I mean, at some point,
200,000?
in 1920 is when it started popping off a little bit.
Yeah.
So you got a little more.
but like at some
it's
point,
like a couple
at some-
100,000 at most.
some point, people who were in the Midwest, they were in these industrial cities. They saw places like Los Angeles, the West Coast, as more affordable places to move, more booming economic areas, and they left those areas and they came out here. And what I'm suggesting to young people today is that they kind of do that and look at other parts of the country.
Okay.
For San Antonio.
Yeah, sure. I
Purely?
mean, if you're, I mean, look, San Antonio is not like the best city in the United States, but if you're really challenged and that's the best you can do, it's fine. Versus living in, Section 8 housing in Los Angeles.
Don't you think
something
where
else, right?
these things are booming, it was booming because there was actual real industrial business opportunity. There was material conditions on the ground that made it so when you moved to these cities, there was something productive you could do. You could make the wage, you could buy into the property, etc. And what you're suggesting is move to rural anywhere.
No, I'm not
and
suggesting
it's not
rural. No. I'm not saying rural. I'm saying move to another city. These are cities, These are very large cities.
I know, I know what you mean. Do you think San Antonio is comparable to Los Angeles in the 1920s or 30s? Great
Potentially.
Depression notwithstanding. Do you think
Potentially, yeah. I think Los Angeles in the 20s.
Do you think it has to be made by the people moving there in some weird way? Do you think they're going to reestablish industry, or it's like there's some sort of economic model that exists for something like Los Angeles that doesn't exist in those cities now, and there's a real difference here?
No, that you're right. Like LA does have really powerful drivers, like the port of LA and Long Beach.
Yeah, I know.
Massive,
For sure.
gigantic economic drivers. Ports have always been giant economic
They
drivers.
But it's all saturated, right? Like these people moved to these areas like Los Angeles when there
Yeah.
wasn't much there, and it was booming. It was on the upward
Right.
swing. Like is San Antonio really on an upward swing, or is
Exactly.
it just shittier?
That's my whole point with the upwards.
Shitty and affordable.
That's my whole point with saying the infrastructure was there in Los Angeles before. There was something going on. It was booming. There was that upward swing, as you say.
There was
And
room
like,
to grow.
and the advice from people generally is go to places where there isn't an upward swing because that's the exact economic conditions, and that's what makes things affordable. It's so shitty that you can buy in.
Right,
And not because it's good and you can buy in, and you're going to ride the wave up.
Well, generally,
Right.
generally, these areas that are more affordable, they tend to benefit from these upward swings the most because people want to start businesses there. People want to move their businesses
It's
there. Lower
relative.
cost of labor.
How does that affect, again, it's like talking about Warren Buffett having $10 million to invest and ride the 1970s inflation wave. Like, what is the advice for the young people? And this is your fundamental claim that it's easier for everybody to make wealth than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole point is, like, if it's like everybody's moving their business there or something like that, do you think the average Gen Z person, do you think Los Angeles prospered because everybody was moving their business there, or people were moving with the capital and with the business, and they were able to work in these industries that made money in the first place? And the businessmen profited, the workers profited. There was a whole economic system that facilitated that upward mobility that you don't see the same way today. It's the same thing we've tried to ask multiple times. Is it different in any way? Is there any difference?
Oh, there's major differences. Major differences.
Do these things matter? Can those differences manifest differently for the Gen Z people who are trying to approach
Yes,
this for the first
yes.
time? Yeah, so are they negative? Can they be negative?
I'll go back. To
Are the differences negative in any way? Are there any negative differences at all?
I'll go back to the example.
Oh,
I was
you
gonna
answered all
make.
the other questions perfectly with simple answers. Why are you going back to another example?
on,
Are they
hold on.
different at all?
Let me show you a
Are
difference.
they negative?
Let me show you a positive difference.
Okay, can you show me a negative one? If there's a positive one, there must be a negative one, right? And wouldn't that undermine your whole point that the differences exist and they're negative at scale?
What's That's the.
I have a positive example.
Okay, give me a positive example.
When I was 16, I opened up a brokerage account.
So you can then see the bike.
When I was 16, I opened up a brokerage account on Scottrade, and I looked into this. I looked into this, and basically, what was this? 2013 or something?
Dude, who cares? Like, you're 16. You open a brokerage account. How'd it go?
Basically, across the board, if you wanted to buy and sell regular amounts of stocks, it was on average just about any brokerage firm. It was $7 every transaction. So, if I wanted to buy $500 of stock, it would cost me $7. So let's imagine that you're somebody who is getting your paycheck and you're saving money and you're buying stocks once a month or something. You're paying this $7 transaction fee. You don't pay that on brokerages today. There's just all these frictions that don't exist anymore. It used to be way more expensive to do business. You had to get a landline. Now you can just use your iPhone,
Okay.
There's so many things that happen.
Bro, do you think, it's easier for the people who can do it? Do you think it doesn't address the fundamental point? Do you think it's harder for some of these Gen Z people? Do you think they're saddled with debt, with less opportunities they can't buy in the system in the first place? And a $7 brokerage fee makes no fucking difference to them because they're dealing with a whole other economic condition. Do you think there's any difference there? No, that's the fundamental point. Yeah, people trading stocks don't have to pay $7. Who gives a fuck, dude? That's not what it's about. Who can get jobs? Where's the entry-level jobs? Where's the advancement? It doesn't exist.
This is the kind of negative attitude.
No, it's not it. Yeah, bro.
We need Chinese-style censorship cracking down.
Dude,
Take this.
censor all the
Take
negative
it down.
shit.
Shut it down.
Bro. But dude, what we're saying though is like there's a real difference. Everybody feels it. You're admitting it tacitly in that comment. You can't buy into it the same way, and that's a real economic issue. We've been highlighting this the whole time. And even if we started the debate, this amorphous consideration of the human condition, and we said material conditions aren't the ultimate metric, but even when we dial into the material metrics, we say there's a real difference here, and people experience it, people feel it. Here's the thing too, by the way, and I'll take this point. Even if you were completely right, and it was easier, and there's more wealth than ever, and somehow Gen Z is completely incapable of leveraging it. They can't attain the wealth. The fact that they feel that they can, or it's a real part of their experience, as we talked about earlier, matters because our economic system is connected to a political system that is representative. It factors in what the masses think and feel. And even if their feelings or thoughts are completely delusional and not grounded in reality, if there's a general sense that the economy's worse and opportunities have lessened, that will have real political consequences. Politicians who go for your line and say everything's fine, there's more wealth than ever, even if it was totally true, they won't win. And who will win? The people who say we need to reform and change the system. We need to address the inequality. We need to address the conditions. And they're going to get the sway of the masses because the masses' experiences are real and they're the determinant factor in our politics. So when you say, oh, it's better than ever, if people feel that it is and you can't adequately address why they feel it is, it's going to have enormous ramifications. And it might put reformers in power who are very willing and capable of modifying the system that you think you're enjoying or is better than ever. It will change. It will be modified. How do you address that? Instead of just saying it's better than ever, we have to think about it on a deeper meta level. If people think that it's not good, how do we deal with that, even if it is?
I mean, that's a big problem. That's a tough question.
Richard, don't you have some actual, like, you say everything's fine, but actually, you've told me, like, you think there's a bunch of ways we can reform the economy, make housing more affordable. Like, you actually do you do have, like, good ideas about what we should do.
I think it could be way better. That's the white pill.
Okay, so go off on that.
I think everything could be way better. I don't think it's as good as it can get by any means. But I think it's pretty good.
What do we need to do
So
to
there's
reform
problems in the system. Is it better now than it ever was before? right now.
Yes.
Completely better
But it
and
could be- it
everywhere.
could be
but it
so
could
much
even
better.
So you
Could be so
believe in
much
this.
better.
It's what I was trying to ask way earlier when we were talking about the human condition. I'm like, do you see these things in just a literal material progression? Like it'll always get better, it'll always improve. Is there anything that could emerge that would take us off that trajectory, or is it just gonna get better forever?
I mean, look, if we all nuke each other, that would really
suck, yeah.
that would really put us off schedule for a very long time.
What should we do though to make it better?
Yeah, what could we do?
I actually
What could we do?
I actually believe that in about 50, 60 years, we're all going to live in AI fueled superabundance.
Is that good? Is that okay? We'll go back to the humans. We'll go to the human meaning debate, but again, tell me about AI. What if your dopamine was dialed up to 11 all the time from the AI machine? You're in the abundance. You're in this sort of virtual reality setup, and all of your needs are cared for. You think that's a better eventuality materially for us?
I don't think so. But you know,
But you just said we're going to go there, right?
there's a lot of billionaires out there today who aren't happy.
Doesn't that undermine your whole point from earlier? I'm going to start screaming, dude. The audience will get mad. I'm going to scream in the mic. If there's a bunch of billionaires who aren't happy, wow, it's almost like the material abundance doesn't fucking matter as the final metric. Wow, people with the most material abundance are not happy. Doesn't that tell us something about what things should be? And we still say some material abundance is maybe necessary, or if we live in a culture that prizes material abundance like you, motherfucker, and we say that it's not as available, it's not as attainable for everybody else. Good Lord, isn't that a problem? If people feel like it's unfair, we say it's all material abundance, but then it doesn't make you happy, but it's what you need to chase, and this is what society is. Isn't this a real fucking problem? Isn't there a lot of contradictions in this worldview?
I think it's a complicated worldview.